If you come to the mat kneeling and kneeling is too much pressure on your knees, feel free to grab a pillow and put it under your hips or on your heels or under in the crease of your knees or whatever feels right. But again, we won't be here long. We're just gonna drop in here. So checking in, rooting down, getting grounded, feeling that connection to the mat, connection to the earth. Finding the breath, finding that nice long spine, the natural curvature of the spine. And just start checking in, noticing how you feel in all the bodies, physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually, whatever that means to you. We're just starting to observe, starting to notice, starting to quiet the mind. And really building that connection with the breath. Remember that this is your practice, so all of my verbal cues are just suggestions. Feel free to make it your own. Listen to your body. Stay present, and feel free to close your eyes at any point if it feels good. Notice the quality of your breath. Notice your natural inhales and exhales, not impeding that. Just allowing that prana, that life force, that energy to flow in and out with every breath. Take your time dropping in here. Take as much time as you need. Today we'll be focused on transitions, both in life and in the physical body. And we'll be physically focused on the side body. So just putting your awareness with those things. If you want a mantra for today's practice, it might be something like, I embrace change with grace and courage, flowing through life's transitions with ease and strength, or any variation of that, or any mantra that speaks to you today. Once you've settled in, you can drop your hands to the side, to the left and to the right, the outside of your hips. Just feeling that connection of the fingertips to the mat. When you get there, take a few more inhales and exhales. You can gently open your eyes if they're closed. Keep a soft gaze, nice and relaxed through the face, not clenching or holding anywhere. And as you feel ready, we'll connect with the breath. On your inhale, we'll slowly raise the palms up toward the ceiling and toward one another. And then as you exhale, rotate to one side or the other, finding a nice gentle twist in the side body. Follow your breath. Inhale, raise the palms back up toward the ceiling, toward one another. And exhale, twist toward the opposite side, bringing the fingers down toward the earth, finding a nice little easy twist. Move at your own pace. Nice gentle warm up, syncing up with the breath here. Noticing what you feel. Feel free to explore. We'll take a couple more cycles like this, just connecting. And next inhale, bring the palms back up. We'll stay there for just a second, getting long through the spine. Take another nice cycle of inhales and exhales. And then you can gently release the palms to the top of the knees. We'll just do a little quick stretch through the front of the ankles and the tops of the feet. Just by bringing, let's start with the left fingertips under the left knee. Bring the right palm to the top of the right knee or top of the right thigh, and just pull that left knee up toward the chest, toward you. Notice what you feel. Check in, be present. Take your time there, enjoy. And when you're ready, gently release that left knee. We'll do the same thing on the right. Bringing the right fingertips under the front of the right knee, finding that foundation, that support, and just pulling that right knee gently up toward the chest. Fully relax through the feet and ankles, just noticing what you feel. Reconnect with your breath and your mantra. And we'll slowly, gently, mindfully release. From here, let's come into easy pose or any comfortable cross-legged seat. We won't be there long. Just gonna check in with the side body from here. So settle in, feel that connection of the sits bones to the earth. Take your time in the transition, enjoy that, be present. And then we'll check in with each sides of the body. So we'll start by bringing the right palm to the mat, the outside edge of the right hip. And then we're going to gently slide that palm away from the body, coming down toward the forearm or just bent elbow. You can rest your other hand gently on that opposite knee. Try to be mindful about that hip coming up or that knee raising up, but don't force it down. Just be mindful of what's happening there. Observe. You can also incorporate a yoga block or a pillow here if coming down onto the forearm isn't in your range today. Once you're there and feel nice and anchored, we'll raise that left hand all the way up and over to hover over that right palm. Feeling that long line of energy, maybe from that left hip all the way through the left fingertips, really reaching, really stretching, pressing that left knee open, maybe lifting your gaze toward the ceiling, just exploring. You can also pretend that there's an imaginary invisible surface in front of you and just slide the left hand to the front of the body and then back over the right palm. Or you can just stay where you are in stillness, find what feels good, and really enjoy the exploration, enjoy the transitions, enjoy and embrace change, which is maybe the only constant in the universe. Notice what's happening in the neck. Try not to let it collapse, but maybe just be an extension of that nice long spine. Breathe deep into what you feel, especially in the side body. Put your mind's eye there and observe. And on your next inhale, we'll gently press back up to that seated position. Find that neutral spine, roll the shoulders back, reconnect with the breath. We're going to transition to the second side, so you do so as your body is asking you to and at your own pace. When you're ready to do that, you can bring the left palm to the mat on the outside edge of that left hip. Rest the right hand on the right hip and gently slide that left palm away from the body. Coming down onto the forearm, or even just bending at the elbow, whatever is in your range. Trying to be mindful of that right hip coming up. Settling in, and then sliding that right hand all the way up and over to just hover over the left. Pulling that right knee open and really reaching with the right fingertips. Breathe deep into those sensations. Feel free to explore, sliding that right palm forward and then back to hover over the left. Or maybe just finding stillness, maybe lifting your gaze toward the ceiling. Whatever helps you connect with the body and be present in the body. Feel free to explore, make it your own. Stay present in those transitions. Take a couple more cycles of breath here. Maybe checking in with the neck, making sure you're not holding through the face, the hands, the feet. And then when you're ready, use your inhale to press back up through center. Finding that nice long spine, rolling the shoulders back, checking in again with the breath. And from here we will roll forward onto all fours to set up for tabletop, followed by cat-cow. Taking your time, moving with intention. Palms under the shoulders, knees under the hips, neutral spine, nice long neck. You know what to do here. Connect with the breath. On your inhale, drop the belly, raise the tail toward the ceiling, lift the gaze. And on your exhale, press into the palms, arching through the upper back, low ribs come inward. Move at your own pace. Move with intention. And be present in those spaces between poses. Feel free to incorporate any other movement here. If you want to draw circles with the ribs or with the hips, just enjoy that. Notice what you feel and where. And use your breath just to help you notice, help you understand those sensations and be present in them. Take your time. When you're ready, we'll come back to that nice neutral tabletop spine. Again, moving at your own pace. And once there, we're going to walk the hands outward and forward to bring the chest and forehead down to the mat for puppy pose. So you can be really passive in puppy, just letting the belly hang down, just stretching through the side body, getting long through the arms. Or you can engage the lower abdominals, just drawing them inward, kind of flattening the back, pressing down through the shoulders and the armpits, whatever is calling to you. couple more cycles of breath, maybe just rolling the forehead left to right. Keeping awareness in the fingertips and palm if it's a lot of pressure on your shoulders. When you're ready, we'll pull the hands in just a bit to come back up to that tabletop or something similar. And from there, we're going to move to downward dog. So when you get there, curl your toes under, press into the balls of the feet, lifting the hips up toward the sky or toward the ceiling. And we're just going to spend a little time here in downward dog. So you can either find stillness, just settle into it, notice what you feel, or roll through the feet, coming onto the ball of each foot one at a time, bending into each knee one at a time. Just checking in here. Noticing that change of perspective, staying intentional and present in the transition between poses. So take what you need from downward dog. You can also put your weight into the left palm, lift the right palm off the mat, and bring it to the outside edge of the left shin to look under your armpit. Notice what you feel if you try that variation. Enjoy that change of perspective. And release that palm back to the mat when you're ready. You can try the same thing on the second side, lifting that left palm off the mat, sinking your weight into the right, and then bringing that left palm to the outside edge of the right shin, right calf, just to look under that right armpit. And notice how that changes the sensations of the pose. You can release that when you're ready if you've tried it. We can also open up through the hips from downward dog. So if you want to, you can plant the left foot, raise that right leg up for a three-legged dog, and then bend into that right knee. Dropping the right heel toward the left shoulder, pulling that right knee up toward the ceiling. Just checking in with the hips here. Releasing when you're ready. Staying present in the transitions. Maybe pedaling through the feet again before dropping your weight into that right foot, lifting the left leg for three-legged dog on the second side, bending into that left knee, dropping that left heel toward the right shoulder. Take your time there. Release when you're ready. Feel free to explore any other positions from downward dog that you'd like to. Or just find stillness, connect with the breath. And then I would invite you to plant both heels, walk the hands up toward the body to transition into your standing forward fold. Take a moment here, just shake out the head and neck, relax through the head and neck. Maybe just let the fingers sway gently left to right. This is a gentle hamstring stretch, so take it to the extent that you can or need to. And then we can walk the hands to the left side of the mat to frame that left foot. Noticing how that feels in the body. Maybe walking the hands to the right side, frame that right foot. Once again, just checking in. Feel free to also just find stillness or clasp opposite elbows with opposite palms. Or to really intensify the hamstring and calf portion, you can lift the balls of the feet and just slide your hands underneath, if that's what's in your practice today. Take your time here. Let's reconnect with the breath if you've lost it. Settle into stillness in this forward fold. Just enjoy. And then we're going to move with the breath, and on your next inhale, we will slowly begin rooting down through the heels and dragging the fingertips along the front edge of the body to come all the way up to standing. Moving slowly with intention, staying present along the way. We'll come all the way up to standing, bringing the palms slowly all the way up overhead and together, getting really long, really reaching for that nice long stretch through the spine. From here, you can keep your palms overhead, and we're just going to articulate through the spine. So make sure you're rooted down and stable, but you might start just by drawing circles with the fingertips, palms together overhead. Just kind of rotating through the spine, moving it in any way that your body will allow, and being curious and present in those sensations as you move. So lower body is mostly stable, heels are really rooted down. Feel free to reverse that circle or isolate side body bends through the spine, or maybe through a little back bend, whatever is calling to you. Just exploring. Being creative and present in that movement. When you feel good about that, we're going to move into tree pose. So take your time doing that, or feel free to go ahead if you're ready. I'm going to turn to face you, but you can stay where you are for tree pose practice. We'll have feet planted about hip width apart. You can bring them a little closer together if you need. We'll bend into 1 foot at a time. So we'll bend into the right knee to begin with. And you can use your hands to guide that right foot to the inside edge of the left thigh. Really pulling that right knee open. And then you can keep your hands where you need to. If you need to keep them on your waist for balance, feel free. If you're able to drop the hands to the sides and then bring them all the way up and overhead, palms together at the ceiling, feel free. If I watch myself, it makes it much more difficult. So I'm going to look away from the screen. You can also bring the palms together at the heart for prayer hands. Find your fixed focal point. Find your balance. If you fall out, get right back in. No big deal. Notice what you feel and where. Try to stay present in that without getting overwhelmed. Pulling that right knee open. Finding the breath, reconnecting with the breath. And then gently releasing that first foot back to the floor when you're ready. Moving with intention. You can also kind of wiggle through the knees before you switch sides. We'll do the same thing on the second side, planting that right foot this time, bending into the left knee, using your hands if you need to guide that left foot in to the inner right thigh. Pressing that left knee open, maybe bringing palms together overhead, pointing fingertips toward the ceiling, finding that fixed focal point, reconnecting with the breath. Remember, it's okay if you lose balance, just try again, no big deal. You might also bring palms together at the heart if it feels right. Just checking in there, building strength in that leg and in your foundation. Finding ease in the transitions. So you're moving mindfully when you get into these poses and when you come out of these poses. Take your time here. When you're ready, we'll gently release that left foot back to the earth. Maybe walk through the feet just to shake it out a bit. I'm going to turn to face the top edge of my mat again. And we're just going to come into a warrior two here. So let's start by sending that right leg forward, toes pointed toward the top edge of the mat, bending into that right knee. Back foot will be at an angle toward the left side of the mat. You're pressing into the outside edge of that left foot. So we're going to come into warrior two. We'll lift the hands so arms are parallel to the mat. And again, just checking in with that knee. Make sure it's not folding inward, so you may need to pull it open. Finding integrity in the pose. Once again, building strength in the lower body, particularly the quads and glutes. Finding your balance here. And let's gently release that left hand to the back of the left thigh. Cycle that right hand all the way up and over and extend through that right knee. Really reaching, feel that nice long line of energy from the right fingertips all the way through the right toes. When you're ready, stay sat back in that left hip. Level out the arms once again, and we'll come into Trikonasana. So there's a couple options for this. Some people teach it by bringing the fingertips to the inside edge of the ankle, left fingertips up toward the ceiling. You can also put a block there if that's not accessible. We can also bring the right fingertips to the outside edge of that right ankle. And again, use a block if it's not accessible. Either way, let's lift the gaze toward the ceiling. Getting nice and long here. Noticing what you feel, reconnecting with the breath. From here, let's cycle that left hand all the way down to frame that right foot. So both hands are framing that right foot. We're going to keep the left fingertips planted, and we're just going to peel that right hand up toward the ceiling so you're facing the opposite side now. Once again, just checking in with the side body, noticing what you feel. Feel free to explore. And then we'll cycle that right hand all the way back down. We're going to transition to do the same thing on the second side. So you can bring that right foot back for plank. Let's hold there for just a second. Send the hips up high toward the ceiling, toward the sky, coming into downward dog. Feels nice. From downward dog, we'll walk the hands back up toward the body for your standing forward fold. Transition gently up to standing. And then we'll set up for warrior two on the second side. Sending that left foot forward, toes pointed towards the front edge of the mat. Your right foot is angled toward the right edge of the mat, sinking nice and low in that left knee, finding strength, finding balance, lifting the arms parallel to the mat. See if you can sink a little lower in that left knee. Get nice and low, really building strength in the hip and in the quads. Then we'll drop the right hand to the back of the right leg. Left hand swings all the way up and over. Get really long. Extend through that left knee. Feel that long line of energy from the fingertips all the way through the toes. We'll sink back into that right hip. Level out the arms before coming into Trikonasana, bringing the left fingertips down to the mat. Right hand up toward the ceiling, being intentional about the way you move between poses. So we'll bring the fingertips to the outside edge of that left shin, left ankle, or on a block, wherever you are. And let's swim the right fingertips down to frame that left foot. You can pivot on the back foot. This time we'll peel the left hand up toward the ceiling, checking in on that opposite side, noticing what you feel. Reconnect with the breath. And swim that left hand back down, frame that left foot. We'll send that left foot back for plank. Hold here for just a second. Notice how strong you are. Find your focus. Reconnect with the breath. And then we'll send the hips up toward the ceiling. Coming back into downward dog. Take a minute here. Feel free to pedal through the feet or find stillness. Whatever is calling to you. From here, let's plant that left foot, drag that right leg up toward three-legged dog, right foot all the way up toward the ceiling. Lift your gaze to between the palms. We're going to bend into that right knee. Bring that right foot all the way up and through, planting it between the palms just for a high lunge. So we'll keep that left knee lifted. Right foot is framed. We'll hinge at the hips to come up. Bringing palms together for prayer hands in front of the heart. Sinking nice and low in that right knee, building strength, feeling that connection. From here, we'll stay present in the transition. We're going to try to bring the left elbow to the top of the right knee. If you can connect that there, press into the elbow. Try to bring the palms to the center of the chest. So you're rotating the chest toward the right side of the mat. Pressing that elbow into the knee, noticing what you feel. Connect with the breath. Let's bring the gaze back down to that right foot. Gently release the palms to the mat. Send that right foot back for plank. Stay here for a second. From plank, we're going to come back into downward dog. To do the same thing on the second side. So take your time in downward dog if you need to, if you want to, if it feels good. And when you're ready, plant that right foot, drag that left foot up for three-legged dog, really reaching, getting long, checking in, noticing the sensations, staying present during the transitions. We'll bring the gaze to between the palms, bend into the left knee, and bring that left foot all the way up and through for a high lunge. So that right knee is going to stay lifted once again. Framing that left foot with the palms, we'll hinge at the hips, bring the upper body up, bringing palms together at the heart for prayer hands, checking in, finding your balance, noticing what you feel. Building strength in that left knee this time. We're going to bring the right elbow to the top of that left knee. Pressing it in, bringing the palms together in front of the chest. Reconnecting with the breath. Finding that fixed focal point. Staying nice and strong. Let's gently bring the gaze back down to that left foot. Release the palms to frame that left foot. Send it back for plank. And this time we'll slowly lower to the belly for cobra or upward dog, whichever is in your practice. And then sending the hips up high and back for downward dog. It's our last downward dog of the day, so take what you need from it. Downward dog is often a transitionary pose, but it has a lot of great benefits too. All right, one more time, let's plant the left foot, drag that right foot along the mat and up toward the ceiling for three-legged dog. This time we'll lift the gaze to between the palms, bend into that right knee, bring that right foot all the way up and through. And this time we'll lower that back knee, coming out to the top of that left foot, extending through that left foot, left ankle. Once you're there, we're going to walk the hands back as we extend through the right knee. We're going to roll onto the right foot, bringing the right toes toward the ceiling. So just coming into like a runner's stretch. So once you're there, you can make it passive or active. And just rest here, relax through the head and neck. If you want to make it more active, you can walk that left knee back a little further. You can also just imagine pulling that right heel in toward the right hip. Notice what you feel and where. Not forcing anything, nice and gentle. Starting to slow down and staying present. When you feel good about it, bend into that right knee gently, coming back onto the sole of the right foot. Frame it with both hands. We'll curl the left toes under to lift that back knee. We'll send that right foot back for plank. One more time. Slowly lower to the belly for cobra or upward facing dog, whatever's in your practice. Enjoying that transition, lowering it back down. Curl the toes under, hips up high and back. We'll finish on that second side. So plant the right foot when you're ready, drag that left heel up toward the ceiling, really reaching, getting long for three-legged dog. Bending into that left knee, bringing that left foot all the way up and through. Lowering that right knee to the mat. If you needed to walk it back a little further on the first side, feel free to do that now. Find your adjustments. Uncurl that right foot, right ankle, coming onto the top of the right foot, right shin. And then we'll extend through that left knee, rolling onto the left heel, left toes toward the ceiling. Maybe just relaxing, connecting with the breath here. Or maybe pulling that left heel in toward the left hip for a little more engagement through the hamstrings. Take what you need here, be curious. Stay connected with the breath. When you're ready, we'll bend into that left knee again, coming onto the sole of the left foot. Curl those right toes under, lift the right knee, send that left foot back. Last plank, slowly lower to the belly. From here, we're just going to come into Sphinx, set up for our chest opener. So bringing the forearms and palms to the mat, opening up through the chest, rolling the shoulders back, hips, pelvis connected to the earth. We'll set up for our chest openers here. So let's start on the right side. We'll keep the right elbow at 90 degrees and bring it just to the outside edge of the right side of the mat. And then we're going to use the left hand under the left shoulder just to roll us up onto stacked knees, hips, and ankles. Start to open up through that right side chest. Bring your right ear down to the mat, keeping that right elbow at 90 degrees. And then use your left fingertips to either very gently press into the mat or to hold you in the space of preferred tension there, or just to explore through that right chest, right shoulder. If you love this stretch, you're super flexible there. You can also lift that left knee, left foot off the stack and set the left foot down behind you. Just pulling that left knee open a little more. Not forcing anything. Just checking in. Reconnecting with the breath. Maybe reconnecting with your mantra. Finding ease and strength in life's transitions. If your foot is behind you, feel free to return it to the stack. We'll transition to that second side at your own pace. And start by sliding that left hand back out to the top left corner of the mat, extending through the knees, rolling back onto the hips, onto the belly, onto the chest. Come back into Sphinx to get set up. And then from Sphinx, we'll bring that left elbow at 90 degrees to the outside edge of the left side of the mat. We use the right hand, right fingertips, just to guide us up onto our hip. On the second side, stacking knees, hips, and ankles. And then just checking in with that left side chest, left shoulder. You can press into the mat with your fingertips. Or find stillness. You can also lift that right foot off the stack and just bring it to the ground behind you, opening up that right knee toward the ceiling. Take your time here if it feels good. Quiet the mind if you've lost focus. Come back to the breath. And when you're ready to come out, we'll extend through the knees and hips, rolling back onto the belly. From here, we'll press up for all fours. And then we'll bring the big toes into touch. Open up the knees as wide as is comfortable, maybe about as wide as the yoga mat. And then send the hips back toward the heels, walking the hands forward for extended child's pose. Feel free to bring your forehead to the mat. Once again, rolling gently left to right if it feels good. Or just finding stillness. Sometimes I also like to bend into the elbows in this pose to bring palms together behind the head or neck. Just for a little additional stretch through the triceps and shoulders and side body. Take it or leave it, this practice is yours. You can stay in this pose as long as you'd like. I'm just going to come up to kneeling in order to close the practice. You can stay where you are or come up to kneeling with me. I'll be setting up to close in the same way we started. So if you do come to your knees, you can put a pillow under your hips or just relax in that extended child's pose. I'm going to bring palms together at the heart, just tucking the chin, reconnecting with the breath. Feel free to join me if it feels right. Before we close this practice, I always like to recognize that I am facilitating this practice from unceded Monongahela, Osage, and Erie lands. We recognize and honor the sacrifices of the indigenous peoples that inhabited these lands before us. We recognize that their struggles are ongoing and that our liberation is all connected. There's lots of opportunities to support Indigenous folks. We also want to recognize that yoga is an ancient spiritual practice stemming from the subcontinent of India and Indian culture. So we honor that cultural heritage, respect yoga's origins. We also recognize that yoga is a community. Thank you so much for being part of my community today. I hope you got something you needed here today, and I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.